The bathroom does have fixtures, so there's a sink, there's a toilet, that sort of thing, but the kitchen is completely bare. There'll be a pipe sticking out of the wall where you need to install the sink, some wiring for the stove, but there's nothing. There's not even light fixtures.
You're spending 5 minutes with a missionary. This podcast is a window into missionary life. It's fun, it's personal, it's real, and it's always an adventure. During Season 1, LCMS missionaries from around the globe consider the topic of home. Today, we'll hear from Deaconess Kim Bueltmann. Kim serves Persian refugees in Leipzig, Germany.
I have been living here in Leipzig for just over 4 years now. And up until recently, I had been living in the same apartment that whole time. Wasn't real big, just 2 rooms, but it was a little bit bigger and probably a little nicer than most of the others that were there in that complex. But recently, a new missionary came here to join us in Leipzig, and she was having some difficulties finding a place to live. And the two of us decided, hey, why don't we see if we could find a 2-bedroom that we could share? So we ended up finding a place together. And so just wanted to share a little bit about what that process was like, what moving apartments in Germany is like, because it's not necessarily the easiest task. And that's where a lot of the other surprises come up. So when you rent an apartment, then you're supposed to leave it in the same state that it was given to you in. Really, your apartment is just the 4 walls. You don't really get anything else. The bathroom does have fixtures, so there's a sink, there's a toilet, that sort of thing, but the kitchen is completely bare. There'll be a pipe sticking out of the wall where you need to install the sink, some wiring for the stove, but there's nothing. There's not even light fixtures. So there's just a tiny little hole in the ceiling with some wires sticking out where you can install your own lights. So kind of a shock when you get an apartment and you rent it. And you're like, okay, I'm going to have to do everything. So you got to go out and figure out, well, what kind of light fixtures do I want and how do I install them? And I think I watched like a 25-minute video in German from a professional electrician explaining how to connect the wiring and do all that stuff, because even the electricity is different here. So the wires are different colors than I was used to connecting lights in my houses in the States. I actually lived in my first apartment for about 3 months or so with no kitchen. So I got a hot water cooker and an egg cooker, and I had an old table that they had found in the church that nobody was using, and I set that up in there at least to have something. But so finally I figured out how to deal with all of that. I got a kitchen builder to come and measure, and then I went and met with them for about 3 hours. We looked at all the options for appliances, cabinets, all those sorts of things, made decisions, mapped everything out, and then everything was shipped to my house. And the next day, the kitchen builders came and put it all together, installed the whole kitchen, took the whole day. But it was quite something. So, of course, now when I moved into a new apartment, then I had to take that kitchen with me. So, that was something. It's still actually in process, because there was a really nice man from our church, and he said, hey, I can do this. I know how to do this sort of thing. So I'll help. I'll do it for free. No big deal. Of course, the kitchens aren't shaped exactly the same, so it doesn't fit exactly the same way. So we had to do a little rearranging. He had to take a piece of the countertop with him to cut, and so that'll fit to the new arrangement. So we're still waiting for him to come back with that. He left us with the appliances working. So we have, working fridge and stove and all of that sort of thing. So that's good at least. But we're still waiting on a few other things to get finished up. So anyway, we've been here about 2 months. Still don't have a finalized kitchen, but we're getting there. Maybe some other interesting things. The German apartments also don't have bedroom closets. So instead, people have what we call in the United States maybe a wardrobe. It's not a word I really ever used in the United States, but in German we call it a Schrank. And so I had customized a Schrank for my bedroom in the old apartment. And as you can imagine, it's pretty large. So, we had to take that all apart to get that moved to the new place. Also quite a feat. So I've really learned a lot living here, how to mount and wire light fixtures, how to build wardrobes, all sorts of fun things, how to put kitchens together. And it's definitely a lot of work. Sometimes, feels really overwhelming, and you think, oh man, I'm doing all this work for this home that, I'm thinking is probably kind of temporary, but, in the end, I guess that's really how it is with any home. We always work hard to keep up and maintain our homes. It seems like the work is never ending in any home. And, in the end, we know that any earthly home that we have is just a temporary place for us to rest our heads until we finally reach our eternal home in heaven. So I guess all the extra work and hassle here in Germany is definitely worth it because it allows me to be here to share the hope of an eternal home that we have with Christ, with the people here in Leipzig.
Thanks for spending 5 minutes with a missionary. To learn more about Deaconess Kim, go to lcms.org/Bueltmann. You can also sign up for her newsletter using the link in the show notes. You can find this podcast on kfuo.org/missionary podcast, or really anywhere you get your podcasts. Have you ever thought about serving as a missionary? Reach out to mission.recruitment@lcms.org to start the conversation.